This is Brad A. Milford with the Unlimited Business Wisdom Podcast, where leaders, seasoned entrepreneurs, and business owners share their wisdom. It's straight to the point to respect people's time, and because we know knowledge and wisdom turn to business possibility, and possibility mixed with support and action become reality. In this podcast, we discuss leadership, sales, marketing, operations, team development, quality, and finance to drive sustainable results and everlasting impact to make the world a better place. Thanks for joining us. Hey, Martin, welcome to the show. Glad to have you here.
Thanks for having me on, Brad.
It's a pleasure to have you. I am very interested in diving into your experience in business and, well, in life and personal and professional and whatever you're willing to share. Would you be willing to share, I hope so, a little bit about who you are, Martin, and what you do for the audience?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Martin Saenz, and I'm what's called a cash flow investor. And became financially free in 2015. And since then, I've been helping other individuals become financially free through some of our investment funds that we have set up.
Love that. Love that. Nothing like it seems like everybody wants financial freedom, but yet so few people know how to actually achieve it. So someone in your position is highly needed, I would say. I mean, I see it all the time. So.
Oh yeah, I talk to accredited investors. These are people making over 200K as a single filer or 300K joint filing, or they have over 1 million in net worth assets, excluding their primary residence. And I talk to these individuals every day, and a lot of them are just paycheck to paycheck, or they're making high salaries, but they don't really have much in the way of passive monthly income, which is what I'm all about.
Yeah, I love that. And so I love that you dove right in there too. And I want to dive into the audience a little bit deeper. So look, I've been in a different spot in my life, right? And so I realize that there's people listening and watching this and saying, okay, that sounds great. Okay, but how do I get to that point? Right. So that's great that you have a very niche audience and you know exactly who to speak to. But I want to dive in real quick so we don't alienate anybody or weed them out, and just say, like, what advice would you give to somebody who's not yet at that point? And then we'll speak more directly to your ideal client here in a little bit and offer some advice.
Yeah, I mean, most people are not at that point. Even people that think they're at that point are not at that point. And very few people I talk to, and I talk to people every day, high net worth individuals every day. Just most people are not where they need to be in terms of earning monthly passive income that's consistent and predictable. They don't have to think about it. Each and every month, money comes into their bank account, and it covers their standard of living at whatever point that is for themselves.
Yeah, I love that.
Very few people, but to speak to anyone who's not there, I mean, that's just speaking to most people, myself included. I mean, where do we begin? Student loan debt with 2 graduate degrees. I can start there. Corporate America, and 2 years I got fired because I just was horrible at playing corporate politics. Was self-employed for 7 years. Had a company selling products to the federal government with my wife, and working 100-hour work weeks, 7 days a week for years, traveling around the country doing federal projects, and just selling the business before I had a heart attack. We could go, I'm sure people can kind of pick up wherever they need to pick up in terms of, people are now taking second jobs right now to keep up with just maintaining grocery bills and credit card debt and everything else. So where does one begin? One begins with their financial statement, their personal financial statement is what I would say. And completing that, but not just completing that, but completing that and updating it on a regular basis, most likely weekly, and sitting with your spouse or partner and reviewing that and just catching a dose of reality of where you're at. And then also too, having some projection into the future of where you'd like to be, what would be comfortable for you. And so you're kind of developing like a roadmap, if you will.
Love it. I absolutely love that. Thank you. It's a little out of the norm and it's not my standard format here, but it's great because I think there are a lot of people there. And what I see, and I imagine you do too, is there's a lot of people there, but yet they won't hop on a call with somebody that can actually help them. And it's a dilemma. And so I like to highlight that and say, look, if you know that's you, then like drop the ego and let's get on a call and let's have a conversation. But we'll get to that at the end. But I just wanted to dive into like, what's one step? What's something actionable? And you delivered. Look, dive into your budgets and your financial statement and get to know what it is and then project from where you are to where you need to be, even if it's a small step. So I love that. Thank you very much. And
reality is just, reality is, and sometimes doing something as simple as that requires an individual or a family to box out white noise or distractions in their life so they can focus on things that are truly important, like their financial freedom. And I'll say this, I mean, I did it wrong for years prior. I started building wealth the right way in 2013. Prior to that, I was a business owner. I was just trying to make as much as I could make, but I realized it's just I was spending it. I didn't have a plan with my money. And I built a portfolio of commercial and residential real estate property. I was a landlord and as well, but without any direction. And it wasn't until I learned to focus on purchasing assets that I could control and that produced ongoing cash flow that I really just started to transition my whole world, if you will.
I love that. I totally love that. I'm with you. So for years, I thought I had a pretty good financial plan. So I'll be transparent as well. I thought I did. And then I had a plan and it fell apart. And then I had multiple businesses. I had good cash flow, but I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I just didn't. And so it doesn't matter what age you are or what phase of business are or what stage you are. But you gotta connect with the right people. You got to get the right education. So I love it. And this is good.
You have to gain proximity. You have to find out who's real, like who's really at the point or at the level that you want to be. And then you have to gain proximity to that individual or those individuals. And it's a lot of trial and error. But when you find those individuals, you need to bring value to the equation. You need to, I'm not saying be, disingenuous or to kind of be phony with someone, not at all. Just humility is really the best approach in life, is what I found. And if you kind of, and I have a sales team. I mean, we raise capital from people all over the world, and we have a team that talks to people all day on the phone. And what I tell the guys is like, all these guys want to be accredited. There's 4 of them. They want to be accredited in themselves. They want to be high net worth. So I'm like, how do you do that? You gain proximity. You close the distance between where you are now financially and where these people are that you need to talk to and build relationships with. And that's really the start of it. And people that are successful financially, they tend to sense who's real, who's not. But they also a lot of them have sympathy for people that are up and coming because they were up and coming at one point. So if you have humility and you're like, hey, you know what? You're accredited. Congratulations on all the success. It must have taken a lot of success. It must have taken a lot of discipline, a lot of good habits, rituals to get to where you are. And I aspire to be that for myself in 2 years or what have you, and just have real discussions with people, and people that are there, they'll appreciate that and be receptive.
You make me want to jump out of my chair and scream, yes. I mean, it's so simple what you shared, but it's so powerful. The humility and the approach and just having the gumption or the grit or the, just reach out and be honest and say, hey, I see where you are, and it's amazing, and I'd love to be there, and I know it's going to take a lot of work, but I'm willing to step in the ring. Are you willing to just give me a shot with a small opening? Like, what can I do? and then go do the action and then come back for some more. I mean, it's such a powerful thing, but yet so few people do it, Martin. So I'm really glad you shared that. I mean, it's super powerful. It
Yeah.
runs the world.
Yeah. And then, couple that with the power of repetition and gaining momentum through repetition and refinement. And, you polish the sword over time and you just get better. And before you know it, you're inching closer to your own goals as an individual, as a sales professional, as whatever, as a business owner that's, looking to be more affluent or having more passive income. And you're doing it without knowing you're doing it. And that's when it's real.
I love it. I love it. I love it. This is a great conversation. All right. We got to ask some questions. Martin, what's the best thing about being in business?
Is I'd say freedom. I'd say freedom for myself. And I would have said slavery when I had the prior company before I really put systems in place and built things the right way. I'm at a point now where just the investing part of business ownership is just great. We're buying new larger properties. We're buying pools of mortgages across the US. We are growing. We are bringing on new investors, and being able to share those experiences, share those profits with our investor partners has also been a blessing, because, it's one thing for me to say, well, I want passive income. I want freedom for me and my family, but it's another to say, well, I have it now. Let me help others around me get, elevate their game and move forward in their travels.
Yeah, much more powerful, much more meaningful, isn't it?
Yeah, just service to others, right? I mean, that's like where it's at, is just serving people. I mean, we serve people with the homeowners that we're buying the mortgages with the tenants on the properties we own, with the investors that we're earning them monthly passive income. So we're just out to serve. There's no other way to put it.
I love it. I love it. I love the servant model. Another thing that's so misunderstood. So I'm glad you
Yeah.
brought it up.
Yeah,
Well,
I think that's a starting point. That could be step 3, right? Like we just talked about someone doing their financial statement, but it's not just doing it. You can't sign up for the gym and not go to the gym. I mean, you guys sign up and then you got to go on a regular basis. And on top of that, you have to change your diet, and then you have to do a number of other things. But in the sense of financial freedom, then you have to start self-reflecting. And what's coming into my head that's garbage? What are the people that are around me that are not moving me forward to my goals? How can I rearrange things? How can I weed out things? What Jim Rome talks about, weeding the garden.
yeah.
God bless Jim Rome. And then from that point, it's like, okay, well, what do I need to put in my head? What sorts of disciplines and rituals do I need to put in place? What are the expertises I have where I could monetize outside my workplace or within my workplace currently, where I could go elevate myself financially? So that's
I love
like the
it.
next step.
I love it. You're diving right into sources of income.
I
I
mean,
dig
I
it.
run an investment fund. I don't give coaching or advice to people when I'm talking to them. I'm just kind of like doing the math, right? I'm like, you want to see this much monthly passive income, we'll do this. But you're talking at the coaching level, and that's where my heart's really at. So I love education and coaching.
Yeah, I see that. I can I can clearly see that. That's amazing. That's awesome. You're just diving right into it. And that's great. All right, here's a fun question. I'm a little bit of a systems guy, so everybody that watches and listens, they know what this is all about. But we hear from other businesses that are getting so much business that sometimes the chaos causes some overwhelm. So, Martin, would you be willing to share your thoughts and based on your experience about that topic?
Just running into the state of overwhelm in general.
Sure.
Yeah, I think that I think that businesses, a lot of the solopreneurs, a lot of the people that are trying to run extremely lean, they need to start expanding their think, and they need to look at who they need to hire so that they can do more of what they're good at. And couple that with, if you're a business owner and you're horrible at sales or you're really introverted, you need to, maybe look at how you can kind of leverage what you do have, the characteristics you do have, to kind of appeal to people on a sales level, because you have to have some salesmanship in you at a business owner level. Otherwise, you're relying on other people and people don't care as much. So I think just kind of thinking about your business, where you want it to scale to, and then you have to immediately start putting people into place. Hiring is a great decision, but it scares a lot of business owners because they're thinking, well, I have to make payroll. Yeah, but you know what? When you have to make payroll, you yourself step your game up as a business owner, without a doubt.
Well said. I'm glad you brought that up, because such a big dilemma, and it's so important. And it's one of the number one things that will help scale a company. If you're solo, you got to get some help in the strength in something that you're weak in. You kind of spoke around it earlier, and now we're just pulling it out directly. I mean, you literally said that. Like, so find somebody that's strong in what you're weak in. And if you're not strong in sales, as you said, Martin, then you've got to get somebody that can lean into that. Somebody's a little more assertive, right? And not so introverted. And that's a great place to start.
Outsourcing too. But I don't know that any business can really scale past a certain point with just straight outsourcing. It needs to be kind of complemented. Like I can tell you, in our company, we have 20 plus employees. We have CFO, we have a controller, HR manager, collections manager. We have an investor relations VP. We have an acquisition VP. So we have a whole team of asset managers. So all these, so what's interesting is, years past, when I was doing everything by myself, we sold our federal government contracting company in 2013. And I started buying mortgage loans and creating loan modifications with homeowners and doing other kind of creative plays to help people stay in their homes. And then I started creating cash flow streams for myself. Well, I did everything. I was the marketer, I was sourcing, I was running due diligence, I was portfolio managing, I was asset managing, HR, you run down the whole list. But then over a period of time, I'm like, over a period of time, like, I really just like working with people, helping people, serving people, bringing people on so they can earn monthly passive income. So now everything in my world outside that is done by someone else.
Yeah, love that. It's actually more good advice. Work a system until it works, and then work yourself out of that system. It's great.
Yeah.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And you want to do the same with your business too, but that's a larger conversation, isn't it, Martin?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, any business owner should have an exit, and how does that look, and what's the roadmap to get there, for sure.
Yeah, it's great stuff. I truly love this conversation. Let's get to, here's another fun question, and then we're going to dive into some like specific actionable advice. Who else successful, aside from yourself, of course, ought to be on the Unlimited Wisdom podcast, Martin?
Yeah, so we just took on a partner. We created a real estate arm for commercial medical office building investments just this year. And 𝐂𝐫𝐞𝐚𝐿 is the individual. We pulled him. He was working with a $5 billion assets under management commercial real estate company. We took him in, made him a partner, and he's growing out that arm of the business. Nice. And he just has like a wealth of knowledge, insight. He's very strategic in his thinking, and I think he would be a good asset for you and your program.
Love that. And yes, I would love to have him on. Any recommendation from you, Martin?
No, appreciate it. Yeah, no, he has I'm kind of low key, but I'm like, I got a little tiger in me, but I'm like kind of just low key in general. But 𝐂𝐫𝐞𝐚 is just dynamic and everything else, so he'll probably get more views than me. Just saying.
I love it. No, I love it. It's great. Hey, diversity is what makes the world go around. It really is. It is.
Mhm.
So I love there's wide, diverse people. Let's dive into some wisdom, or one piece of wisdom would you share with other business owners? I know you've got a vast array and a whole lot of experience.
Yeah.
So what would you be willing to share?
Yeah, I think the most significant thing is the business has to sell the business versus the product. And before selling the product, most businesses go right for selling the product or service, and without telling their story as a company, without kind of relating and meshing with the end client. And so, and this is even on the investor side. We've had times where our sales team, they'll go and right for the product sale, you can make blah 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 and da 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 da, and then the person's like, dude, I don't even know you. Like, who are you?
Get that all the time.
You could be, we're talking out of your van in the parking lot, and so you don't establish that cohesive connection with the end customer, then none of the rest will matter.
Yeah, I love that. This is a great conversation. One that is very needed in the market today for anybody who's listening and watching, and including us that are on the call, who gets those LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, or whatever channel cold pitches all the time. You need this. You need my program for that. Hey, here, have
Yeah.
this free asset that you didn't ask me for, and I know you don't know anything about my company, but just take it anyway because you'll need it. What on
Yeah.
earth are these people doing, wasting their time? And you're, I mean, that's what you're speaking into here. And I've just used a funny example, but I know we can all relate to that. Like, we got to get to know the people first and what's needed, right? I love what you said, Martin, about this is just not, because there's people listening too that are interested in getting into the investments, or
Mhm.
they're creating pitch decks and they got it, they need investors at some point and things like that. And so I love that you just said not just the business side, like the statement that you used, businesses need to sell their business, not their product. That was a powerful statement in and of itself.
Yeah.
But you also tapped into it on the investor side as well. Can you speak into that a little bit?
Yeah. So on the investor side, there's three risk factors that investors are concerned with when investing in any opportunity, or they should be at least. The first is who the operator is. So who's the person running the show? Who's the person that is competent? Have we had background checks? Are they, how well vetted are they? How much experience do they have? And, well, do I trust them to give them my money? And then secondly is capital preservation. What measures do they have in place to ensure that I don't lose my money? And then the third is the returns. How guaranteed or how predictable are the returns that are being advertised? And so the thing is that if you don't build the relationship where they trust you, or feel some sense of trust with you as the operator, they will never get to the closing table. So even though you could be on a call with someone and they could be like, you know what, everything makes sense, you're saying logically, all the terms, the return, the payment schedule, how you vetted the opportunity, all the logistics make sense. And then they leave, and then they have a friend that's like, oh no, it's probably a scam or whatever, and then they're like, now that's another logical thought, right? And that logical thought replaces the logical thinking that per your discussion with that person. But if you have something deep rooted where they're like, you know what, I really connected with Martin. He's been doing, commercial landlording since 2009. He's never missed an investor payment. His company's with Verivest, holding gold standard, which means that they do criminal background checks, they do civil background checks, they vet the financials, they vet the portfolio, and all these things that were discussed through that rapport building process, then I have a fighting chance, right, in that. And you hope that, that there's synergy and people are like, yeah, I really can relate to Martin. I'd like to get more passive income like he has, so to speak.
Nice. I'm glad you spoke into that, and you gave three categories too: who and can you trust them, and then the capital preservation, and then the guarantee on returns. That's pretty. I know that's
Which
basic
nobody
stuff
should
for
guarantee
you.
returns, by the way. Nobody should guarantee returns. So
I get
that's
it.
like for one, yeah. So I'm always very, very clear about that. And but go ahead.
But how do you back it? But how do you back? I get where you're coming from. Like, how do you back it? And where's your stand? Like, where's your standing? How solid are you? What are your structures like? Things like that. So I totally get it. But I love that you brought those categories up. I had this picture as you were speaking of, like, a lot of these TV programs have sensationalized investors, high level investors. But what you pull, and I was kind of running through some, I don't want to mention any names, but I was kind of running through that as you were speaking. But really what they connect on is some kind of piece. Does it really resonate with them? It's yes, those three categories, but what's the story behind it? How are you actually connecting with them on a deep level? And is that happening? And when that doesn't happen, they don't get an investment. And so you illustrated that as you were speaking. And I think it's a great point for people to know. It's the same going back to the business, as you said. Businesses need to sell the business, not the product. So how are you connecting with people? How are you resonating with them? Go ahead. I'm going to turn to you.
Yeah, it's people that release money to you are releasing control. And so what happens with most individuals is they are very good at what they do, profession wise, business wise. And so they don't really learn the art of investing, or they don't learn how to be sophisticated investors, and whatever that means, if you will, like sophisticated investors in whatever niche you want to be in. And so over a period of time, they've accumulated certain assets and they turn over full control to someone who has a very good sales and marketing package. Financial planner, wealth manager, advisor. And I'm not downing anybody in any industry, because there's very good advisors out there. What I'm saying is that you as an individual have successes in your life, but when it comes to what is most significant, which is the financial aspect, which are the fruits of all your years of work and effort, you are giving that to someone else who is convinced you that they are more competent to deal with that than you yourself. And then so what happens when you give full control is then you start building a hope that you're hoping that person, that company, that process or whatever is going to pay dividends for you and grow your nest egg. So that's a very important, we take that very seriously. So what we do is we do full transparency. So we like to bring people in our office. We like to have them meet the team. I'll open, as when I'm talking to investors, I'll open our bank account. I'll show them our bank account. I'll show them the portfolio with our servicing company. We'll do a whole host of things, because you shouldn't have hope as your investment strategy. That shouldn't enter the equation at any point. Right? Like I hope to buy low and sell high, which is most people's kind of thinking about things, appreciation. Right. It should be, I'm investing in an asset where I'm comfortable with the operator. It's producing ongoing cash flow. And I'm not saying you have to invest with me, whatever, wherever that is. I commend you for achieving it, finding an asset class that checks these boxes. Sure. Producing ongoing monthly passive income where you don't have to do any work. I'm not talking about landlording, unless you're really, really systematized. You're going to change a toilet. You're going to get a tenant call.
That's not passive.
I'm talking like you wake up on the 2nd of each month and money is ACH'd into your account. That's what I'm talking about. And to the tune of that amount exceeding your monthly expenses each and every month with consistency and predictability. So finding that for yourself, where you still have the ability to go meet with the people running the show physically, go meet their team, full transparency and so forth, is a unique offering.
Indeed. Indeed. I love that. This is fantastic. You've done a great job of really illustrating what can be difficult for people, or what, is less widely known. So I just want to celebrate you for a moment. I mean, the way you've described this
you.
is very human. It's very humble. It's very, I mean, you've been extremely humble on this call, and I just appreciate that you
Thank you, Brad. I
taking a
appreciate you.
chunk out of your day just to share, on a human level. And that, my friend, is service. You spoke into it,
Yeah.
but you demonstrated it. And so I want to really highlight that and showcase that. This was a choice, so I appreciate
It's a mission. This has become my mission in life, is to, if you have a calling, if you know your calling, my calling without a doubt is obviously be a father to my 4 children.
Nice.
Good husband, decent husband to my wife. I'm working on that. And
we all are, right?
And help as many people that are looking for passive monthly income as possible, because people are struggling out there. Most people know it. Some people don't even know it. And there's this whole wealth effect that's going on in our country right now, where people feel they have equity in their homes, they feel good, their 401ks. I mean, maybe not as much now mid-year in 2022, but at some point for a while, they were feeling like they're rock stars, and everyone looks good when that's occurring. But monthly passive income is just so critical, because it needs to be with you, good times, bad times. It needs to be just predictable and something you count on.
Right on. I love that. All the fluctuations in the market all the time. So you've done a great job of saying it's got to be predictable, and it's got to be repeatable, and it needs to happen no matter what. And I think that's a really important message. So thank you there's a crystal clear pattern throughout your message in delivering that. So thank you. I'm going to shift gears for a moment, and then we're going to let people know how they can reach out to you also.
Sure.
Look, so I say this all the time. We work to live, not live to work, right? So for those just listening, they can't see the picture. I mean, you've got a flowered shirt on, you got a nice office, you got a nice background. I know where you are in Florida, like you're in a nice area. We can have a great work environment, but I like to dive deeper than that, right? So what's the most fun vacation you've ever had? You've probably had quite a few of them, I would think.
I have to go with, so we do a thing called Dadder Day, and my kids are 10 years old to 4.
Nice.
So they're young babies. I had kids later in life. My wife and I had children later in life. So because we were too focused on the wrong priorities, I would say. And so now that I'm a little bit older, I'm 48. I have 4 kids that are young. I take them to Longboat Key Club, which is a resort 15 minutes from here. It's beautiful beaches, crystal clear water, blue-green water. And I take them there on Saturdays, which we call Dadder Days. And I give my wife some time I like her to go relax, but she's working around the house and doing everything. So she doesn't know how to settle down either. So, but I go there, we go to the pool, we go to the beach, they serve us lunch, and we just really just enjoy ourselves. And that's a vacation. I mean, people vacation there. People fly from all over to vacation at this club. So, and to be able to be blessed, to be able to just go there whenever we want is amazing to me.
That's a beautiful thing. Family in the tropics. Really, I mean, I'm grateful for where I am too. I love that. I love the stories. I love the illustration. This has been great. Thank you so much. Again, I want to thank you one more time. You took a chunk out of your day. You could be with a client right now, and you chose to be here to serve people. And I appreciate that. When somebody watches this and they listen to it and they're like, I have to reach out to this guy, what is the best way for them to reach out to you, Mark?
Sure. Send me an email, martin@bqfunds.com. You can go to the website, www.bqfunds.com. I don't care if you come in our fund, like whoever it is listening. I mean, just reach out. I mean, if you're looking for freedom, if you're looking for financial independence from this craziness in this world, just reach out to myself, research other people like myself, and just connect with as many people who who are a little further down the path than you. And that's it. Do something. That's all I got to say.
Ooh, he ends with do something. How powerful. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. And that's BQ as in like big
Mhm.
freedom, right? B. So if you're listening,
bqfunds.com or martin@bqfunds.com.
I love it. Martin, thanks so much for your time. Thanks for being on.
Thanks, Brad.
This is Brad A. Milford with the Unlimited Business Wisdom Podcast, where leaders, seasoned entrepreneurs, and business owners share their wisdom. If you're looking for more on leadership, sales, marketing, or operations to drive team development, higher quality, and high-level sustainable profits, we encourage you to join the Built for Brilliance community on Facebook or reach out to us about one of our mastermind groups, coaching or consulting, or even fractional COO services. You can reach us at buildbrilliance.net/contact. We thank you for listening, for sharing the show, and appreciate your rating and reviews, as this makes more shows possible. Thanks for joining us.